Welcome back. Today we are going to be taking out the German F-104G, and this thing is 10.7, just like the F4F, which I will cover here pretty quickly as well. It is now at a pretty decent matchmaker because all the 11.7s went up to 12.0, so you won't be able to see those anymore. The 11.7s, like the F14, you won't run into that often anymore either. But do be advised, you still will be up tiered, and those up tiers will be very rough. Today we have some high octane gameplay for you. It's, how do I say it, not exactly standard, because well, considering the plane you are in and considering the speed of the F-104s nowadays, together with something like Mirage 2000s that got a speed buffed, MiG-23s and stuff like that, you are in a very rough plane actually. It's a very favorable matchmaker, but if the matchmaker doesn't go in your favor, you're kinda just shit out of luck. It's not exactly enjoyable, but today we are gonna be looking at what we can do with the cards we are dealt with. Before we do that today, thank you to all my patrons and my YouTube members and everyone looking to get this decal to put over the vehicle. You can do so with the discount code in the description below. So let's look at our current situation. We have two MiG-23s on our 6. One of them is an MLA, which I know, and the other one I'm not exactly sure about. But it's an MLD. It pops up at about 1.1 kilometers, and he's just spamming his missiles off. I'm forced to flare, and because I'm running flare and chaff, of course I waste a lot of flares and chaff on missiles that I don't need to waste my time on. So I throttle down a little bit. The MLD flies directly ahead of us. We crit him. He's going to be out of the fight for a little bit. Next wagon in the train is going to be the MLA, and he overshoots and just kind of forgets that I'm there, and we also managed to crit him. Now, if these two guys actually died when I shot them, that would have been fantastic, because now I'm still forced to focus on these guys, because even though they are completely damaged, I'm still going to struggle killing them. I try to go underneath the MLD, but I'm forced to throttle up again because the Mirage is coming in now. These two MiG-23s are basically out of the fight, but they're still too much of a danger to ignore. And now the Mirage 2000 comes in. The Mirage 2000 probably would have killed me on his own. I'm not gonna be lying. Thing is, it's not really helping my odds. So right now I'm trying to fly away. The Mirage bled a little bit of speed, but I don't want to fly into this direction because that's where the team is. But I'm forced this direction because the people I'm shooting aren't actually dying. So I go back in for the head-on with the other MiG-23. I shoot my last flare off, miss the head-on, and now there's 4 on my 6, 5 on my 6, and a 6th one is coming in. And the issue is I don't have flares anymore. I can dodge some missiles, but I'm not quick enough to do so. I outrun the first one. MLA crashes. We are set on fire. We're not dead yet, however, because we never die. We're not dead yet. We crit the Mirage 2000 as well. And he's gonna be hitting the water. Then we pull out of this fake dive, we land, we repair, and then we lose on tickets, because you know, that's the only way we are gonna be losing on this channel. And again, we have quite the party, or the train I should say, on R6, because when you fly a plane like this and people catch you, they know they basically have a free kill on their hand, and it's actually extremely annoying to deal with. You might have seen this clip before in my defensive flying guide. If you haven't seen that yet and you do struggle with that kind of thing, I highly advise you to check it out. But for now, we are going to be focusing on the J8B that's directly on our 6. And do we have real advantages here? No, not really. We do have the advantage of energy retention and the snappiness of our gun. The issue is retention is kind of biting us in the ass. So I'm waiting for him to start catching us. I then throttle drop. I try to go as slow as possible, but I don't use the air brake, so he doesn't see that I'm trying to slow down as hard as I am. And he is kind of just focusing on us. I'm trying to make as much movement as possible to make him overshoot. He throttles down way too late, and if he kept turning in the same direction, this wouldn't have happened. So this guy basically killed himself. But you need to capitalize on mistakes of others, otherwise you're not going to be winning in this thing very easily. Then the Mirage comes in, I'm forced to take this head-on. We are very clearly winning that head-on because we have a Vulcan and he only has the dinky Aident. So we go head-on, we win, and we go into the next match, where it's more gonna be an average positional game, and this is the kind of lobby you will find yourself in a decent amount of times. There's a complete furball in front of us, and no one is really paying attention, so I lock onto the first guy. I aim at the second dude, he's already flaring. Some bad aim, but it doesn't matter because he's not really paying attention and he just flies directly in the guns. Then we go on to the next F5, and that's basically 3 people out of the game in a split second. Now, what do? We simply just look for the next target. And I see that Razor is being engaged by 2 guys here. So I wait for his flash to disappear. I lock onto the F-4E first because he's closer and he's a higher priority target. And then I go towards the F-8U. I don't manage to get a lock in. I do last second, but it's a pretty bad launch. But I'm just going to be sending it because I want to disrupt their flight paths. And I'm flying directly into the sun. So the F-4E right now doesn't have the best chances of actually locking us. And I'm going to pre-chaff in case he does try to shoot a radar missile at us. But I'm trying to keep him occupied so that Razor can go back in. Yes, this is a very vulnerable position. And if Razor here was a random, I wouldn't have trusted this guy with my life at all. And I wouldn't have played it the same way. So right now I'm just trying to get rid of the radar missiles. Trying to make sure that he doesn't get it off. Because with the radar missiles, if they're in the air and it's not a pulse Doppler and you're just chaffing, chances are that the missile will still go for you for the Doppler gate or whatever it's called. We go back for the F-4E. We shoot a missile off and then we transition back towards the F-8U. We miss our shots, we miss our missile, and these 2 guys are just basically dodging everything we have. Razor's coming in and I'm on this guy 6, so I'm now just gonna actually kind of stay behind him. Wait for the F-8U. The F-8U is not gonna be doing anything. Razor comes in for the head-on, so he's probably gonna keep this Phantom nice and straight. Twitter doesn't like that, and we just put him into the ground. We fly straight for a split second, we line up the Vulcan, he gets set on fire, and we go instantly back to the defensive with the F-8U behind us. And now, I mean, it's 3v1. We have a MiG-21, 2 F-104s, and this F-8U is not gonna have a good time. He's just gonna be gangbanged, so I'm gonna transition over to the next match, and this time it isn't actually sarcasm, he actually just got gangbanged. And I'm gonna show you one of the most average games that kinda go your way, that you will find yourself in with this vehicle. I would be lying to you if I say that most of it is my own player skill, because that isn't the case. With this vehicle you are just looking at mistakes of other planes. If everyone pays attention to you and if everyone plays it perfectly, then you're not gonna get much done in this thing. However, this is War Thunder, you are in a 12v12 lobby and there is not a single chance that everyone in the lobby plays it absolutely flawless. So you need to make sure that you come in from angles they don't expect, shoot at the right guys at the right time, and it's really just experience. This is one of those planes that I can't really tell you how to fly it, and even if I did, a lot of the time it wouldn't actually work. You're seeing on the screen here that I'm getting pretty decent success. Don't let that fool you, because I'm not doing that great in this vehicle. Power of YouTube is pretty strong, and you can see that I cut my deaths off pretty often here, and mostly that means that I'm just dying more than I usually do. Why is that? Because when someone catches you in an F-104, what are you gonna be doing? If the enemy flashes your missiles and if the enemy actually dodges your guns in something like an F5, what are you going to be doing? With an F8, what are you going to be doing? That's the issue with a lot of vehicles you will run into in this thing. And with the MLD and the MLA still at 11.3, you are going to be running into those two very often, and they are literally your kryptonite, because they are basically you with better wings and faster. So it's not exactly fun to fight against. I don't really recommend flying this thing. I would much prefer flying the F4F nowadays, which is a sentence I never expected to utter in my life, but here we are. It's now at 10.7 as well, and it's just a much better vehicle when it comes to most scenarios, and that's mainly because you actually have the ability to defend yourself. In this thing, as I said, you're just too much of a brick to do anything once people start reeling you in from behind, and it's just extremely frustrating. It is not a fun experience, and I just recommend you to fly that one instead. Is this thing unflyable? Is it horrible? Definitely not. It's probably still one of the better F-104s nowadays, because the F-104S went up again, and the Italian F-104G, sure, but it has less missiles. It only has 2, and it's at the same BR. So it's a bit of a trade-off. This is probably the best F-104 with missiles right now. That isn't absolute top tier like the F-104 ASA. But man, is it rough. The F-104A and C I still have to try out. I can't really give you a verdict right now, and that's why I say it's probably one of the best. But I haven't flown those two out in a very long time, and I need to get back on those. So expect that somewhere soon-ish. I don't know exactly when. I'm kind of loaded with work right now, which is why you're seeing some pretty old footage on the screen right now. I'm trying to fill it in a little bit. Exams are kind of kicking my ass, but hey, we passed the first two, 17 to go. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next.